Hi, B. It's Amy.
Hi, Amy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
So far, so good. Thank you.
Good. Good. Beautiful day out there.
I know this is my second of four meetings. So,
Yeah, it's that crazy time.
So I guess I'll be doing the monarch butterfly portion.
Correct.
Okay, no problem. That should be really short.
Yeah, that's
Busy.
exciting. Yeah, that's exciting, easy, no brainer.
No brainer. Yep. Not costing the county anything. Just like the pickleball fields.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So that's
Definitely.
really, yep. So
Yeah, you gotta love when something is no cost.
I know. And that's what I tell people. It's like, you want something to happen, but you gotta, we're in a pandemic. You gotta help me out here.
Right. Right.
Oh.
All right, let me see here. Okay, there I am.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Aim, how are you? Sorry,
Good.
Zoom are kind of new territory for us. We always do teams, so Lord, bear with us, at least with myself.
Oh, I love Zoom.
Do you?
Love it.
Do
Oh,
you like
yeah.
it better than Teams?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
And
we
you
do.
know-
We
Mhm.
do 90% Teams, so we're more used to Teams.
And see, I'm having a meeting in a couple hours, and that'll be a Teams meeting.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I don't really know the difference. Once you do it, it's like, it's all the same.
Right.
Right.
I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what the difference is.
Right.
It'd be all I know. There's a lot of them. Hi,
Hi,
Vic.
Vic.
I think, Bob, you said all you know is there's a lot of what?
Meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
It's okay.
Bear with me. A little technical difficulties here in Crozet, so hopefully I don't fade out too often or at all.
You need to speak with your supervisor.
I'll give that a try.
That's fun.
So everybody, including, Ned and everybody thought this was going to be a really short meeting. So just to let you know, FYI, after we do the pickleball thing, then I may be the only one listening, but that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is on that end, we're just more of an update than anything else. So
Yes. And
That's cool.
Ned's going to try to stay as long as he can. He's got another meeting. I've got 2 more meetings. He's got probably 2 more meetings. And, but it is good if we can get through this and then you can give a quick update of Parks and Rec. That'd be great.
Okay, we will. So we'll I know we got a lot of information, so I'll share this with everyone else when they log on. So
yeah,
may move a little quickly through the presentation. We thought it was important, though, to at least give a little background as to, what we've done, where we are, and where we are now. So
I agree.
We'll be respectful of people's time.
No, I agree. And I'm with you however long it takes.
Okay.
You're not going to get rid of me, so don't worry.
Well, we hope not. Hey, Vic, you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Vic Garber, Deputy Director, Charlottesville Parks and Recreation, and glad to be in this meeting.
Glad
Good to
you're
see
here.
your smiling faces. I think, I know Todd, let's see. Oh, we still got a few minutes, so he's gonna.
He's on.
Oh, he is. Okay, I didn't see. Okay.
Hi, I'm Todd Brown, Director of Parks and Rec in Charlottesville. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you, Todd. And by the way, thank you to the city of Charlottesville for doing this so quickly and being amenable and working with us. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Well, we'll give everyone a few more minutes before we take off. Would be nice if we could do this outside, although it's about 86 degrees, but
I think it's a nice 86 though, isn't it? That humidity just isn't there yet.
I'm
No,
not complaining. I'm not complaining. Not at all. All I know is with this crazy weather we're having, I've started my mowing cycle about 30 days ahead of what I normally do. So it's crazy, but I enjoy doing outside stuff. I do.
At one point, I think I mowed my grass every 5 days there when it was raining and sunny, and I think it was around I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was, the lawns are beautiful this time of year. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I took a picture of ours, but I know it's not going to look that way about July or August.
Oh, no. That tall fescue will just.
Exactly. It goes downhill, doesn't it?
It does.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Good to see y'all.
Bob Crickenberger.
Nice to see you, Bob.
When
Hi, Vic.
everybody
Hey,
when
Heather.
everybody joins in, we'll do more.
Heather.
Oh, yeah. I just looks like a friendly group, so I thought I'd say hi.
Well, I know I didn't just want to stare at a screen without introducing myself. I thought that may be a bit rude, but welcome and thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's 1:30, but 1:31 now. Let's give just a
Did you
few
see
more
how I
minutes.
was giving Lloyd a hard
Or one
time?
more.
Yes, I
Here
saw
we go.
that.
Never text.
Here we go.
In all of our time working together, and so here he is. Here I am. I'm
Oh,
giving-
yeah. Well, he texts me, "Hi, Lloyd, and thank you for texting me." Thank you.
Only because you texted me, my dear.
Thank you.
Oh, if I had known that's how I get you to text me, I would be texting you all the time.
And I probably wouldn't see it.
I know. That's why I don't text you. I actually tried it in the beginning, and I realized it was a dead end. So.
B didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better, which is often the case.
Well, what do you say? Why don't we get started?
Okay, I'm going to
There's
send
Ned.
Ned a text.
There's Ned.
I think he's logging on now.
He's on.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
There we go. Well, I think Ned, how are you, sir? I think we have everyone in the house, so let's begin.
Yes.
Well, first of all, welcome and thank you. I know everybody's got busy schedules, but we wanted to take some of your valuable time to share with you some valuable information and community interest that we have that would be occurring at Darden Towe. So, can we just do a quick introduction? Because I know most of you know everybody, but there may be some new faces for others. So again, I'm Bob Crickenberger. I'm the Parks Director of Albemarle County Parks and Recreation. And we'll just go with county staff and go around the horn. Amy?
Sure. Amy Smith, Assistant Director of County Parks.
Bela Pisto Kirtley, Albemarle County Supervisor, Rivanna District.
Ned Galloway, Supervisor with the Rio District, and mainly to keep Supervisor Lepisto Kirtley in line. hopefully.
It's a tough job.
Okay.
I'll go. Heather Hill, Charlottesville City Council.
Lloyd Snook, Charlottesville City Council.
Todd Brown, Parks and Recreation Director.
Hi, Todd.
How you doing?
Hey, thanks, everyone. Just
got
a
Vic.
real
Wait,
quick
yeah,
overview.
Vic.
Vic.
Hey, Todd.
Oh, excuse me,
I'm-
Vic.
I'm Vic Garber.
Sorry.
That's all right. Vic Garber, Deputy Director, Charlottesville Parks and Recreation. Glad to be here.
My apologies, Vic, I'm jumping the gun.
I'd
Didn't
already
mean to
introduced
exclude you.
myself once, so that's okay.
Well, okay, all right. Let's move on. I just want a quick agenda overview. Our first discussion is in regards to the pickleball proposal at Darden Towe Park for 6 dedicated pickleball courts. We'll have a short presentation with a lot of information, and I know your time is very valuable. So throughout that presentation, we may move a little quickly. We can send this presentation out to you afterwards if you so desire. Then we'll move into some native planting, milkweed, and say the monarch butterfly, and Supervisor LePac currently has graciously volunteered to lead that discussion. So, and then we just got some other matters and we'll allow for other questions. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I said it'll be brief, or it will be short like I am.
Okay. Okay, so if there are no other questions, are we ready to move on?
Sure.
Okay. Let's start with the presentation. And bear with us, this is really our first time. Oh, I think she's got it. Perfect. Perfect. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here it is. We'll kick off with the the pickleball proposal from the local pickleball club. Again, so next slide, please. So we just thought that we would just briefly give you some background, some history of our relationship and partnership, not only the county, but the city as well, with the Pickleball Club. You can see that the organization was formed in 2015. They are a 5013C nonprofit. Around 2017, the club partnered with Albemarle County to provide pickleball at one of our local elementary school, Agner Hurt, for 2 evenings a week. And you can see below that the earnings and before the pandemic, how the program was operated and some of the revenue that were generated during that time. The club has also partnered with Charlottesville Parks and Recreation to run beginner pickleball classes and utilize some of their facilities, mainly at Key Center. And we have seen, as well as the club itself, but both Parks and Recreation departments, a huge increase in pickleball over the years, but especially mainly during the pandemic. Next slide, please. So here we are, the purpose and the need. There are currently no dedicated pickleball courts. And when I say dedicated, that means that there are courts that are actually built and designed to fit the footprint of pickleball. There are some areas, other facilities like Piedmont, Towe Park, Penn Park, and others that do have courts, but they are regulation courts and they are blended lines. So basically, if you were to go out on your own to play pickleball on some of these courts that do have the blended lines, you would basically have to provide your own net, and you can see the cost of what that would be. And next slide, please. So just real quickly, an update, and 2016, the Darden Towe Park at that time had approved a location in Darden Towe Park that would accommodate 12 pickleball courts. 2018, both the city and the county requested funds within their capital the project then would be back to 8 pickleball court, because we figured it would fit better. And you see the cost at about $380,000. And you will see the funding split between the city and the county. So it actually has been, this project has been in our capital, both city and county, for quite some time. For the obvious and very unfortunately, it's just been, hadn't been funded up to this point. Okay. So now we're going to dive into the actual proposal from the local club, and Amy is going to lead us through that discussion.
Sure. The local pickleball club is Central Virginia Pickleball Club, and they realized that the county is struggling in funding the CIP project for permanent pickleball courts. So they came up with a plan to take care of the need in the meantime, before that program gets funded. And they've been fundraising, and they came up with the idea to fundraise to repaint 2 of the tennis courts at Darden Towe Park. There's 4 courts there. To repaint them, it would cost approximately $10,000. Then they would purchase outdoor pickleball net systems, and 6 of them would cost approximately $10,000. So they would be donating approximately $20,000 to the county for pickleball courts at Darden Towe Park. And the nice thing about this proposal is this would take care of the need for pickleball courts where people could just show up with their racket and play. They wouldn't have to bring a portable net. They wouldn't have to string it up and worry about doing that. They would be all set. And then once the county and the city are in a position to build the dedicated pickleball courts, if the county and city would like to revert these courts back to tennis courts, it would only cost about $10,000 to repaint the surface back to tennis courts. So that could be done, fairly inexpensively, if that desire was there.
Just curious, what's the cycle time for like how often we have to maintain like repainting of tennis courts and basketball courts?
Sure. About every 5 years, resurface.
So it could fall into just a general maintenance resurfacing in general. Okay.
True. And that would be great to do it all at the same time when you're doing all the courts. Any other questions on that proposal?
I'm sorry, I'm sure you guys have said this to me, and I'm looking online to look at pictures. How many courts actually physically fit in a tennis court?
Sure. Let me move to this next
thank you.
slide.
I
You can see they could fit 6 pickleball courts on the same footprint as 2 tennis courts.
Okay, it makes more sense now. I see 2 tennis courts side by side. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And just for information and for your own awareness, all of the 4 courts at Darden Towe were completely redone from the ground up in in between 2016 and 2017. They were about 25 years old then. So, we're getting close to approaching a resurfacing and those things that Amy mentioned, that generally on a 5-year cycle.
Well, that begs the question that I probably get in trouble for asking, but is there funding for that would help offset other costs? Like, is there funding for resurfacing already planned?
Not at present, it is not.
Okay, just asking.
But that is something that we cycle in the CIP and our maintenance and replacement every 5 years for all of our tennis courts.
When the county gets back to a position where we are able to get back into a normal capital cycle and accepting new submissions, that will be one of them. But I just don't have any time frame when we will get back on a normal cycle.
And you showed the cities had been approved dollars towards the actual permanent courts, but I guess now that they haven't been matched, have we let those flow back into the general funding that it's no longer allocated for this purpose, Vic?
It was my understanding that we did lose that money.
Okay, I just want to understand. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
We'll go ahead. I'll pass the baton back to Bob for committee considerations.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. So here we are. We try to abbreviate this and make it as simple as we possibly can. But with the club's proposal, we're asking for consideration 2 proposals. One, that 2 of the existing tennis courts at Darden Towe be converted over to 6 dedicated pickleball courts. They are also requesting, number 2, is, I think I mentioned earlier that in around 2017, the Darden Towe Committee at that time had identified and designated a location for pickleball courts. You will see that in blue. Okay. So now they're asking the club for consideration to ask the Darden Towe Committee if that could now be moved up kind of the west of the existing tennis court, closer to Route 20, and that is shaded in red. So a change in location. Now, with the change in location from blue to red, it's anticipated we do not have a cost analysis because we haven't done that to this point because this is all just recently just popped up. We're anticipating that the cost would be much less because it would be less grading, less impact, and less stormwater management controls.
What was the driver in the decision to place it where it is currently planned in the master plan?
Well, thank you. I was getting to that. I did want to mention that in the original master plan, probably, gosh, back in the mid-90s, the area that you see shaded in red was identified as 4 additional tennis courts.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, there was not adequate funding during that project to do that. So it's just been placed on hold, and we've kind of been monitoring whether the need to add more regulation courts based on our observations of use and need and desire.
Well, it sounds like pickleball is taken by storm here.
Pickleball is taking off. There's no question. I was trying to catch up, and I read several articles prior to this meeting where pickleball is one of the fastest growing sport, not just racket sports, but sports in general in the U.S.
So looking at this screen, are number 1 and number 2 alternatives to one another, or is this seen as cumulative?
Well, cumulative. These are the 2 within their proposal, the 2 things that they're asking the committee to consider.
And this is in our purview to make both of these decisions kind of unilaterally within this group.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
We're going to open it up for
Bob,
discussion.
let me go back to Lloyd's question. So if new dedicated courts were put out there, whether it's blue or red, would the conversion of the 2 tennis courts remain pickleball courts? So if you had dedicated courts, let's say in the red spot, would it revert back to having 4 tennis courts at that time?
You know, that's something that we probably need to discuss because we haven't gotten that far at this point. They were dedicated or identified within the master plan as 4 additional regulation courts. If the committee decides to shift those locations, then I'm not sure if there's ample room within that area to add additional regulation tennis courts with the dedicated pickleball. courts.
But Ned, were you asking if the existing, what if we approve number one, and once we get to number two, number one will eventually go away and become tennis courts again? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
And my understanding was yes from the earlier conversation.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I didn't quite understand. Thank you for that clarification.
So the blue rectangle and the red rectangle appear to be smaller than the area that is taken up by the current 4 tennis courts. Is that intentional, or just, hey, that it had to be a graphic to stick on the map, so don't worry about the size too much?
It's just a graphic demonstration. That's it.
Okay, so presumably it'd be roughly the same area as the area that is currently the 4 tennis courts.
That is correct. That is correct.
Because how many is that proposal? Sorry, for the permanent pickleball courts, what's the number again? It was on an earlier slide. The number of courts that were in the capital request plan.
It was,
Can you help me with my memory, but it may be 8 within our capital proposal,
Okay.
correct? Or is it 6? I don't.
it
The
was
original
8.
request was for 12, I think, and then there was approval
scaled back to
at
8.
some level for 8,
There you go.
but no
Thank you.
funding.
Thank you.
Right.
So right now we're looking to accommodate 6 on our existing infrastructure. And then the goal would be that someday there's a permanent that would accommodate 8 or more.
And kind of a rule of thumb, if you look at one tennis court, the square footage, you could get 4 pickleball courts on one tennis court.
Right.
So the original proposal of adding 12 permanent courts in the future would be a little bit smaller footprint than what you see there of tennis courts. It would be 3 courts.
So really, we're looking at if we approve number 1, you have the pickleball courts and the tennis courts. Then if we do approve the red area location, that could actually accommodate up to 16, if it's the same size as the tennis courts, 16 pickleball courts, and then revert the tennis courts back to their 4 original tennis courts. Is that what we're looking at? I mean, I said it could be
There was
up to.
funding for less than 16 was what I read. Like the
Right,
funding was
but I
either
mean,
an 8 or a 12 model, but space wise, sure.
Space-wise, it could have 16, and maybe, through donations or something, we might fund 8, and then someone else funds some more, or, we can see how
That's
popular
correct.
it is.
I think the area and the footprint could potentially accommodate that many. Now, whether or not we would actually want to put 16 in, that would be another conversation. But you are correct by saying if we were to have dedicated pickleball courts, regardless if it's 6 or 8 or whatever, then the 2 existing tennis courts that they are proposing to convert into pickleball courts be converted back into tennis courts.
Right. And I think the organization is asking for the red area because the blue area is hilly, and you could not put as many as 12 courts in the blue section, but you could in the red section. So that's why they asked for it to be moved to the other side. Is that correct, Bob?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
And the cost would be reduced in the red area because it's a flatter area and less grading and stormwater management.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Much less. Yeah, again, it was originally graded for that purpose, for additional tennis court. I mean, logically, it is a better place at a much less cost.
Okay.
And Bob, staff's on board with all of this. There's no concern about losing the 2 tennis courts and dealing with that. The demand, I don't know what the volume or demand of tennis play is over there. Sounds like it's less than the pickleball lobby.
Sir, but staff is very comfortable and supports this. I think we would be more supportive, recognizing the fact that and understanding that at some point in time, these 2 courts could be converted back to tennis courts if we ever had in a position to put dedicated courts in. Again, I speak for the staffs. They're supportive. If Vic or Todd want to chime in, please do. I do personally have concerns about some of the folks within the tennis community itself about actually losing to tennis courts that are currently in inventory.
Okay, this is Todd.
Real sure whether or not how vocal or, I just know when we've had these discussions several years ago, there were some concern within the tennis community about the potential of losing 2 existing regulation tennis courts. Todd, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem, sir. Yeah, I'm in favor of it, but mostly as a pilot. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, no one has the answer of, are tennis people going to be upset? Is tennis dying? Is tennis growing? Is pickleball? Because they share the same court, so we can't get data of why people are using the courts unless you set out there and count it. One thing I would strongly push for, you have 2 gates to this court. If left side is pickleball, the right side is tennis. If we put a fence down the center and put some type of gate counter on there, then we can actually get some data of what court is being used more than the other. Because, in terms of the future, one thing, neither one of these other courts have ADA accessibility yet. That's the beauty with the ones that made in the future. It's going to be tennis is on the right, it's accessible. Pickleball is on the left, it's accessible. And then these other are courts that aren't accessible. The other thing is, do we have parking here for this increased courts when they come in? So I think phase 2 has a lot of future discussions that would need to be addressed. And I would rather have that data to help address those, as well as for in the city. Penn Park's the same problem. Tonsor is going to be the same problem with, this competing use. We need some data behind it. So I would love to really push for some way of counting the use or showing that use.
Sounds like a good idea. I
Yeah,
think in
that's
the
a good idea.
Meantime, Supervisor Lepisto Kirtley can sit out there in a lawn chair.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I don't know if the pickleball is growing, or I know it is nationally, but I don't know if it's bigger than tennis right now, or they're just louder than tennis.
I'll just anecdotally, and I don't play, I've never even, this is the most images I've seen, but I have many people who have talked about playing pickleball, even during the pandemic, and I've never even thought it was a thing before. So anecdotally, I just think it definitely is something that's caught on, and it's very social. And I think people are looking for the opportunity right now to do things safely and socially.
No, I 100% agree, and I can attest to, particularly at Penn Park, they're on us all the time about get the tennis people out. We have, our sport's growing. I just don't have any numbers, nor does anyone really have any numbers behind it when they're sharing the same court.
So what kind of investment would it take on our part then to obviously create that kind of a system, which means you have to divider and entrances?
Amy, was your all's design have a divider fence?
It does not.
I didn't catch all that. I'm sorry. Thank you, Amy. I didn't catch all that question.
Well, there are 2 entrances though, it looks.
Yeah, so if you can put some type of barrier, and then, you can get a gate counter for, $500 to $1,000.
Yeah. Normally a 4-foot fence would be fine. And I can say that I guess it was around 6 or 7 years ago when we resurfaced. Well, basically we redid, if you will, Key Recreation Center, put in a brand new floor. When we did that, we inlaid all the 3 different pickleball courts. And over the last probably 4 years, we have maximized every time slot that we've had with pickleball for the indoors. So, you've got 12 people playing, you have another probably 20 people waiting each evening. So it's indoor wise, it's maxed out. I like the concept that I had Darden Towe also from a regional perspective for major tournaments. That's what people are looking for. We have done several pickleball tournaments, say 6-7 years ago, and we've had to max everything we've had. Most came from Maryland and DC and Richmond. So the need is there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we know about the demand for tennis right now? historically, it's always been high, but I don't know whether it has been declining as pickleball has been rising, or just what that looks like. Anybody know?
So no, sir, not enough to where I stand behind what I say.
Any gut feel?
I do know that I've been receiving emails from others in Penn Park that wanted more pickleball courts. And I know that we have, that we have 42 public tennis courts in the urban ring. I have not been hearing from anyone else. I have been hearing a lot from the people who play pickleball. And the reason is it accommodates young people, even children, and it also accommodates older people. Of course,
Yeah.
none of us, are that, older, but it does accommodate a lot of older people. It's something they can play when they can't play tennis. So I think this is going to continue to grow. I know it's growing by leaps and bounds here.
Well, if we start with the first step of
Yes,
the 6 courts as designated on this map here, we don't have to decide yet what we would do with that red area, whether it would be pickleball or tennis or just what. But it seems clear that particularly population increases, as well as the increase in popularity specifically of pickleball, that there is more demand for those sorts of courts, and we're not going to go wrong by increasing the capacity.
correct. Yes, I absolutely agree.
Step 1 seems like a fairly easy decision.
Yes.
Step
Yeah.
2, to say we're gonna go ahead and designate that area, the red area, perhaps as the place for some expansion of some courts someday, doesn't require us to ante up anything right now, but would give us a chance perhaps to assess what the ongoing demand is and whether it's worth probably a couple $100,000 to do what's being talked about.
Are you saying that is a motion, Mr. Snook?
If you'd like to have a motion, I would make that motion.
I don't have a problem with that. I'll second it.
Okay, so we're gonna go forward with number 1,
Mhm.
and we're gonna just, obviously, number 2, we're just gonna keep kind of open dialogue as we kind of gather information and make decisions down the road.
Correct. Because it may be that we may even want to move the location of the red rectangle
Yeah.
somewhere else. We don't know what's going to come in the future and what our funding will be. So knowing that that's a placeholder, number 2 is a placeholder.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Are we just 4 voting members in this? Or do
Yep.
our staff voting members?
Just the 4 of us. We have a motion and a second.
Who gets to?
No chair, so we can't call the vote.
Yeah, I'm
all in
not real
favor,
sure.
say aye.
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 Okay, sounds like we have a majority, if not unanimity. I couldn't hear all the voices, but
I said aye.
okay.
Well, that's
Just to get-
great. Thank you very much. So just so I have a clear understanding, we've gotten approval to move with converting the 2 courts, existing courts, into 6 pickleball courts. And their second proposal, we're going to pretty much place on hold until we do some more research observation in terms of the need, the use, and make a determination at a later date. Is that correct?
I would think so. And I think the one thing we probably ought to add that was not a part of the original CVPC proposal is this notion of the fence and the gate counters.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I assume that's our cost, not theirs.
Do we have funding for that? Any funding?
Yeah, we probably do.
Okay.
What would it cost to have a 4-foot fence, the length of those courts?
I'm a ballpark, 7,000-8,000.
I'm sorry?
7 or 8?
I'm just going to ballpark a $7,000-8,000.
Okay, at first I thought I heard you say 70,000, and I was going to go, ah.
I did too, and I almost fell out of my chair.
7 to 8.
Okay.
Do we, Mr. Snook, would we like to see how it goes, let's see how many people are playing tennis and pickleball and determine whether or not we really do need a counter, or do we want to just go ahead and put it in?
I think maybe wait and see, and if it looks like there's going to be a serious bone of contention with the tennis people, I mean, one of the things, I mean, the tennis people are going to squawk, and at least one thing we can say to them is, well, we haven't decided what's going to happen with additional courts over there.
Right.
And that's a discussion that you and the pickleball people both probably need to be at the table for. And we're not making a decision one way or the other.
Right. I agree. And by the way, Bob and Todd, for the record, that was a unanimous vote of yes for number 1.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
And I guess a placeholder for number 2. So.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to report it, a placeholder, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
This is one of the most fun topics I've been able to discuss in quite a while.
Yep.
Well, since one of my neighbors is Sarah Murray, who has been corresponding with Todd about monthly on how we need more pickleball courts, I'll be able to walk down the street and say, okay, Sarah, something's going to happen.
There you go. Yep.
Well, great. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Very helpful, very important. So if there are no other questions or discussion, we can move to the next agenda item.
Milkweed.
Oh, excuse me. Before we go, excuse me, go back to this.
Wait, no,
I'm sorry.
I am going to have to,
I
need to jump onto a regional housing
Okay.
partnership. It sounds like the chair is not there and I'm the vice chair, so I better get in there to run the meeting.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you, Ned.
Bye,
Thank
Ned.
you.
We'll let B plant the milkweed.
I'm sorry, my apologies. I jumped. I just wanted to identify some next steps with this decision. Is we feel it's important that we, the county, send a full communication to the full board in regards to this. Now, I don't know, I can't speak for whether or not the same is going to be considered for city council, but we feel it's important that we let the entire board
Yes,
be
please.
aware of this.
Yeah.
We also feel there may be the need for a little public engagement to let the tennis community and others know that of the decision and how we're going to be moving forward. Most importantly, we need to develop an MOU with the club as well as with the county and the city that will identify a variety of things. I'll just point out one thing that I think is most important, and our legal department thinks is most important, is that work cannot commence until city and the county has assurances that full funding is in place, as well as a small contingency in the event that for whatever reason, some unforeseeable reasons as they're doing this could change the project scope and the cost. So we just need, and this is normal procedures, at least on the county's part, that we have to be assured that they have the funding to complete the project. We don't want to start a project and then find out midway, 3/4 through that there's not enough funding. So that's just one example. And then just give us ample time to put some public notices out that the courts will be closed at such and such a time for these reasons. We just don't want to close the gates and all of a sudden the public's not aware that those courts are no longer available. So
What's the rough timeline for when they were looking to implement this change?
Yeah, they were looking to implement it mid to end of May. And the reason being is that's when the contractor would be available to do this. So if we can, if you can engage with the committee, Bob, and assure that there's funding and everything like that. And I think there's already a contract in place with the person who's going to be putting in the pickleball courts. but their timeline, because of other obligations, was also mid to end of May. So if end
Yeah.
of May works, that would be good, as long as we don't get caught up, frankly, in the minutia to, prolong this for, months and months and months, and then lose this opportunity because they did raise the money themselves.
Yeah, I will say, you don't want to lose a window to work with a contractor right now.
Exactly.
I totally understand, and we are respectful of that. I've already put this proposal in the hands of our legal team. They've reviewed it. My understanding that once they get the green light, that they will be able to turn an MOU around in about 2 days, send it over to the city legal team. Now, I don't know how long it would take for it through that process, but once all that is completed, then send it back to the club, but send it back to the club for their review, signature, and then the county said, then we have a full executed MOU. We think we can do our best to get that done within their time frame.
If you can get it done within their time frame, that's good, because this is, that's the reason for having this meeting and getting this done, because they have that window of opportunity with the funds that they've raised without any cost to the county to be able to get this done for something that is a great need.
I understand that and respect that. And that's why I've already have tried to put some of these already in place. So all we have to do is all I have to do is notify our legal and whoever else. So the pieces are in place, and we feel we can turn this around within that window. So
and Bob, when you
we can. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I said I don't want to make any promises that yes we can. I will say that we feel that we probably can.
I would just ask that when you volley it over to the city side, that you include our staff that's on the call, so Vic and Todd, so that they just have it on their radar to follow up if there's any kind of delay.
Good.
Our attorney's office has a lot on
suggestion.
their plate right now, so I'm just sensitive to that. But if, it'd be important just to kind of make sure that we have other staff aware of that handoff so that we can follow up.
Right, send it to the city staff, Parks and Rec, and are you suggesting the counselors that are here with us
Oh, you
today?
can copy us. I'm happy to keep an eye on it. That's
Okay,
great.
okay. I'm just trying to get clarification. All right.
It goes to the attorneys, but I just think to have the rest of us who've been part of this conversation in the loop, it will help us just to kind of verify, yes, this is something we're looking to do expediently and it's a priority.
Good.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you can have all four of us on there, any communication, that would be great as we move forward. Thank you.
We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
One issue that I've got about the MOU is I'm sort of thinking about liability kinds of issues here, being the lawyer that I am, and wondering whether there's going to be anything that's going to come out of this that is going to create some possible liability, either on the part of the CVPC, in which case they ought to have their own insurance, or some handing off of liability from them to us, or just what? Any ideas? How's that going to work?
I can't answer that at the moment. Obviously, we can share that with you, but that's a great question. But I don't have an answer for you at this moment.
Okay.
Again, as I mentioned that I forwarded this to our county attorney's office. They have done a quick review. They have listed some things that they felt that would be necessary. I'm not real sure. I'm just trying to remember whether a liability part of it was in question. But again, I'm sure this would not be our first agreement that we entered into. So I feel comfortable that they will be able to address all issues.
I mean, if the CVPC is actually doing, providing things for the construction, or if the construction is being done through them, that creates different issues than if the city or the county is doing the construction at their request.
That's exactly right. And that is part of our discussion as to, do we allow them to actually be the project manager and pay the bills, so to speak, or
Right.
if this would be considered a donation that would come to the county. The county would administer payments as well as project management.
Yeah.
Okay. That should
Y'all
be
can figure
easy
it
to
out.
figure out. Yeah. There you
I'll
go.
have to leave this in the hands of much smarter people than I. Okay?
Yep.
Well, to quote a famous person, let's get it done.
There you go. Get her done. All right. We ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, next slide. There, B, you
Yes.
gracefully volunteered, or I'm not sure what drafted to lead
Yes,
the discussion.
no.
So I'm going to turn it over to you, please.
Yes. Well, there was an article in the Daily Progress talking about the monarch butterfly. And I don't know if you if you know it or not, but Darden Towe is part of the migration path near the Lewis and Clark Center of the monarch butterfly. That area was now covered up by a parking lot. So we hope to, I have volunteers, scouts next Saturday, starting at 10, other volunteers starting this Saturday at 10 o'clock. We have thousands of milkweed seeds, and we will be planting milkweed in the areas near the Lewis and Clark Center and also in other areas at Darden Towe. It will only be mowed once a year. So then it's in the no-mow area, and that will enable us to have beautiful flowers. And it helps the monarch butterfly because that's the only plant that they evidently lay their eggs and the larvae when they come out, then they eat the leaves and everything. But it's very important for the monarch butterfly. So it's all volunteer, no cost to the county or the city. The seeds were graciously donated, purchased. And this is going to be a great thing. And the fact that it will be more of a natural habitat is also very nice. That's
so
it.
that big no-mow area, is that a hill over there? Where's the hill? Next to the soccer fields, the larger rectangle?
I don't know. Yeah, Bob?
Yeah, you're correct. But
And people are
little
allowed to still
slope.
walk in it?
Not at once it's designated as this. No,
Yeah, I'm just gonna warn you, you're gonna have to tell some soccer players that.
we will have to fully sign it.
Yeah, I'm just, as a
Absolutely.
parent who has walked that hill many times, I'm just letting you know.
Okay, that's
Good
good
point,
to
thank you.
know.
Mhm.
Yes. And the milkweed, that only needs to be mowed once a year, and it's self generating or seeding and all that good stuff that I know nothing about.
So you legitimately are going out there and doing this?
Pardon?
Great. You are really going out there and doing it.
I really am. Yes, I really am. And if you know me, you know that I can kill a plastic plant. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm counting on others who know what they're doing.
Yeah, I
But
think
yes,
this is a great idea, and we did it in Fairfax. Actually, we got to the point where they were almost to the point they were selling the milkweed to schools for their butterfly projects. The only suggestion I would give is not call it a no-mow area, is call it a natural protection area or something natural. Because if you call it no-mow, people are going to complain, why can't you mow it? Why can't you mow it? As Ms. Hill said, we're used to using it. They probably won't yell at you as much if we call it a natural protection area.
yes. And maybe Bob can help me because they've already put up signs, but I couldn't see the signs or read the signs. So do you all know what the signs say that have been put up?
I do not, but I really do like Todd's suggestion. And it makes more sense and will probably decrease any concerns about not properly maintaining the facility and such and why. So regardless of what's up there, if everyone agrees, we use this verbiage.
Well, let's find out what they're currently using because I know they're not calling it the no-mow area. That I know.
We
So
will.
I think
Yeah.
I think they're already they've already put up signs designating as some kind of a natural habitat. So let's check that out.
It's continuous. There's not going to be any access through this rectangle.
No, it's not currently not planned, no.
Okay.
No
You
pedestrian
want
access at all.
access?
I'm just providing feedback of one of hundreds of parents who have walked from that extra overflow parking because parking on Saturdays at for Soka is not fun. And traversing down that hill and up rather than, I can't imagine myself, well, I would if you told me I couldn't, but walking around. Whereas I think you will have a lot less disruption if you actually might allocate a couple lanes or a lane where people can flow through there. But that's just a suggestion based on my
Yeah.
experience at the hill.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, we can do that. We
Yeah.
can look at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any
Is that
other
it?
concerns, comments, suggestions?
Nope.
This is the first time I've gathered with this group in my 4th year in council now.
No,
This has been fun. We should do it again.
I think we
15
will.
months ago, when we had the meeting everybody had to say what committees they wanted to be on. And I said, I'll be on the Darden Towe committee. They said, it hasn't met. There's nothing to it. I said, great, that's perfect for me.
No, this has been good. This has been good.
Yeah, FYI, that's why Ned said he wanted to be on the committee. Little did he know. But thank you all. I really appreciate not only your cooperation, but for, just coming on board and getting this done and doing this. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
And those
Thank
pickleball
you,
people,
Bea.
I saw that Letty is out there. I'm happy to be invited to a pickleball game when these courts are ready to go. I want to try this out. I'm very interested now in this sport. So
I actually went out on a Saturday morning and they let me play a little bit, and it actually really is. It's fun and it's easy. So tennis I can't
I'll
do,
take that.
but yeah, it's easy. So
All right. Well, staff, thank you so much for doing all the legwork on this.
yeah,
Thank
you
you
all.
so much, and I
Thank
hope
you.
this hasn't been painful, it's been enjoyable. Our philosophy, we try to make things as informal as possible because we all attend too many formal meetings or whatever. So I greatly appreciate your time, your input, and we'll move forward.
Do
Great.
we need a motion
you,
to
Bob.
adjourn?
All
We
right,
could just hang up.
So I move to adjourn. Thank
Second.
you
All
so
in favor,
much.
hang up.
Aye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.